I'm Maddie. 5 years ago, I walked away from San Francisco, from a marriage that seemed perfect, carrying a secret I didn't even fully understand. I thought my life was over. But from those ashes, I built something no one ever imagined. And now, tonight, under the blinding lights of a tech summit, the truth I've kept for so long is finally exposed. Before I share my story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've ever overcome a storm. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next. The champagne flute trembled in my hand as 500 of San Francisco's elite raised their glasses to toast my perfect marriage. The Golden Gate Gala sparkled around me, crystal chandeliers catching light on designer gowns, my own creation coming to life in the transformed ballroom. After organizing this charity event for 3 years running, I'd learned to read a room. Tonight, something felt off. To Maddie and Adrian Westbrook, Senator Harrison's voice boomed. Proof that true partnership still exists in Silicon Valley. I smiled, the practiced one I'd perfected for magazine covers. San Francisco Living had just featured us as the power couple redefining success. Adrian's hand found the small of my back, but his touch felt cold through the silk of my dress. That's when I saw her. Sienna Vega, our company's new communications consultant, stood near the terrace doors. At 24, she had that hungry look I recognized from my younger self before I'd traded my design firm for Adrian's dreams. Her dress, a bold red that screamed for attention, clashed with the event's understated elegance. "Excuse me, darling," Adrian whispered. "Investor call from Tokyo." I watched him weave through the crowd, my stomach tightening when he headed not toward the lobby, but the terrace. Toward her. The senator droned on about our philanthropic work. I nodded, smiled, played the part. But my feet moved of their own accord, following my husband's path. The cool November air hit my face as I stepped onto the balcony, hidden behind a marble column. "You're the reason I still believe in real love." Adrian's voice drifted over, soft in a way I hadn't heard in years. My world tilted. The city lights blurred below. "Adrian, she's right inside," Sienna giggled. "Your perfect wife." "Don't." His voice turned sharp. "Maddie's many things, but she stopped being perfect the day she stopped being herself. All she does now is plan parties and redecorate rooms I never asked her to touch." I pressed my back against the cold marble, willing myself invisible. 5 years of supporting his company, 3 miscarriages I'd grieved alone while he traveled, countless nights waiting for him to notice I existed beyond these events. It all crystallized into this moment. When I returned to the ballroom, I was someone else. The crowd parted as I walked through, perhaps sensing the shift. In the powder room, after the last guest departed, Adrian found me removing my jewelry. "We need to talk," he said, not meeting my eyes in the mirror. "You chose her." I didn't make it a question. His silence was answer enough. The headlights of my Tesla carved through the fog as I drove north to Napa Valley. Each mile between me and San Francisco felt like shedding skin. My mother's cottage sat nestled between dormant vines, a world away from our Pacific Heights mansion. We hadn't spoken in 2 months, our usual pattern since Dad died. She opened the door before I knocked, taking in my designer dress and bare feet. I'd left my heels in the hotel bathroom. "Well," she said, stepping aside. "Come in then." The house smelled of wood smoke and the lavender she grew by the kitchen window. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. Faded quilts, mismatched furniture, photos of the life we'd lived before I decided I was too good for this place. "Adrian?" she asked, setting a mug of tea in front of me. "Gone," she nodded, unsurprised. "That city changes people, Madeline. Makes them forget what matters." I wanted to argue, to defend my choices, but exhaustion won. The room spun slightly as I stood. "You're pale," Mom observed. "When's the last time you ate?" The truth? I couldn't remember. The stress of Adrian's increasing distance, the gala preparations, the constant performance of being Mrs. Westbrook, food had become an afterthought. "I'm fine," I lied, then promptly proved myself wrong by collapsing in the bathroom. The emergency room in St. Helena was a far cry from the private clinics in the city. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Dr. Martinez reviewed my tests, her brow furrowed. "Mrs. Westbrook, you're pregnant. Approximately 12 weeks. The world tilted again. "That's impossible. We haven't—" I couldn't finish. "There's more." She pulled up an ultrasound image. "You're carrying twins. But something unusual, she paused, choosing her words carefully. The development stages suggest they might not have been conceived at the same time. It's called superfetation, extremely rare. What does that mean? In very rare cases, a woman can conceive again while already pregnant. Different eggs, possibly different. She trailed off at my expression. Different fathers? My voice sounded hollow. The timing suggests both were conceived within your marriage, she assured me quickly. But we'd need genetic testing to understand fully. This condition is so rare there might be other factors at play. I stared at the grainy image, two tiny hearts beating out of sync. Memories flickered. The corporate retreat where Adrian had been unusually affectionate, then that strange blackout at the company party 2 weeks later. The gaps in my memory I'd attributed to exhaustion. I need to think, I whispered. Mom drove me home in silence, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. The vines outside looked like skeletons in the moonlight, and I wondered if that's what I was becoming too. Stripped bare, essential structure exposed. I deleted my Instagram at a truck stop outside Sacramento. 10,000 followers watched Maddie Westbrook disappear in real time. By the time I reached Austin, Texas, I'd erased every digital footprint of my old life. The joint bank accounts would alert Adrian to my withdrawal, but I'd taken only what I'd contributed. Enough to start over, not enough to fight about. The apartment overlooking Lady Bird Lake cost a fraction of our mortgage. 900 square feet felt enormous when you had nobody to share it with. I spent the first week sleeping on an air mattress, paralyzed by the silence. Then I started writing. Second Sunrise began as therapy, 3 a.m. ramblings about rebuilding after betrayal. I published anonymously, expecting nothing. Within days, comments poured in. This is my story too. How do you start over when he took everything? I'm sleeping in my car with my kids. Your words keep me going. Their pain cracked something open in me. I wasn't just grieving my marriage. I was mourning the woman I'd buried to become Mrs. Westbrook. These strangers understood in ways my Marina District friends never could. The blog evolved. I shared practical advice, negotiating lease agreements solo, rebuilding credit, finding remote work. My interior design background emerged in posts about creating beautiful spaces on food stamp budgets. Your home is your sanctuary, I wrote. It doesn't need to be expensive to be sacred. 3 months in, Second Sunrise had 50,000 subscribers. Women shared their stories, domestic violence, financial abuse, starting over at 60. I partnered with a developer who'd survived her own divorce to create an app. Free resources, community forums, skill-sharing networks. That's when I launched the course. Redesign your space, redesign your life. Part interior design, part life coaching, all practical magic. The first session sold out in hours. I filmed videos at dawn, the only time nausea didn't overwhelm me. Nobody knew about the twins growing inside me, the secret that woke me gasping at night. The medical mystery haunted me. Dr. Martinez had referred me to a specialist who'd confirmed the superfetation but couldn't explain it. Sometimes the body does impossible things under stress, she'd said, which felt like no answer at all. My belly grew rounder, hidden under flowing cardigans. The community thrived, unaware their leader was wrestling with her own impossible situation. We were all keeping secrets, I realized. All of us walking wounded, trying to build something beautiful from the wreckage. When the first Phoenix Network meetup drew 200 women to a borrowed church basement, I stood before them 7 months pregnant, finally unable to hide. The room fell silent. We all carry more than we show, I said simply. The applause nearly broke me. Hurricane Patricia slammed into Austin on a Tuesday. I'd been tracking the storm obsessively, my hospital bag packed by the door. At 36 weeks, the twins were viable but fragile. My doctor assured me they'd induce before the weather hit. The first contraction struck as the power died. Rain hammered the windows like bullets. I tried calling 911, but cell towers were down. The nearest hospital was 15 miles through flooding streets. Another contraction doubled me over, this one lasting longer, cutting deeper. Help! I gasped into the darkness. Somebody, please. The pounding on my door made me jump. Nathan Reeves stood in my hallway, soaked through, flashlight in hand. We'd exchanged maybe 10 words since I'd moved in. He kept odd hours, had that 1,000-yard stare I recognized from other broken people. Heard you yell, he said, then saw me hunched over, water pooling at my feet. Oh, shit. Hospital, I managed. He looked outside at the lake that used to be our street. Not happening. I'm a medic. Was a medic. Afghanistan, 2 tours. His hands shook slightly. I can help. What choice did I have? Nathan transformed my living room with military efficiency. Clean towels, boiled water from the gas stove, his medic kit laid out like surgical tools. Between contractions, he talked. Steady, calming nonsense about his sister's kids, about delivering babies in Kandahar. First one's coming, he announced after checking. You're doing great, Maddie. Better than great. Liam arrived with the storm's fury, screaming and perfect. Nathan placed him on my chest, already reaching for towels. That's when everything went wrong. The second one's breech, he said, fear cracking his professional mask. And she's coming too fast. Arya entered the world silent. Too silent. No. Nathan's training kicked in. Chest compressions on a body smaller than his palm. Rescue breaths that looked impossibly gentle. I held Liam, watching Nathan fight for my daughter's life. The storm raged. Time stopped. Come on, little warrior, he whispered. Your mama needs you to fight. A tiny cough, then a wail that cut through the hurricane's roar. Nathan collapsed against the wall, Arya carefully bundled in his arms. Tears streamed down his face, this tough soldier who'd seen real war, crying over one tiny girl's first breath. Thank you, I whispered, reaching for my daughter. He passed her over with shaking hands. They're beautiful, both of them. As dawn broke, the storm passed, leaving devastation and miracles in its wake. Paramedics finally arrived to find us all stable. 2 healthy babies, 1 exhausted mother, and a neighbor who'd become something more in the space of a single night. Nathan visited every day after that, bringing supplies, holding babies while I showered, never asking about their father. Some bonds are forged in fire. Ours was born in water and wind. Liam and Arya transformed everything. My blog posts now included 3 a.m. feeding sessions and the reality of single motherhood. The community responded with fierce protectiveness. They'd watched me grow round with pregnancy, celebrated the birth announcement, sent handmade blankets from across the country. The Phoenix Network evolved from blog to movement. Women didn't just want to survive, they wanted to thrive. I converted an abandoned warehouse in East Austin, negotiating with the owner who'd lost his own business in a divorce. Make something good here, he'd said, handing over the keys for barely above cost. Nathan helped with construction, bringing veteran friends who needed work. We built it together, a childcare room with volunteer grandmothers, skill workshops where women taught each other coding and crafts, a mental health corner staffed by Dr. Miranda Chen, who'd fled her own abusive marriage. The space breathed life. Toddlers played while mothers learned. Former executives taught business skills to women who'd never worked. Everyone had something to offer. Everyone had something to learn. 6 months after opening, an envelope arrived with no return address. Inside, a cashier's check for $200,000 and a note, for what the world needs. I stared at the zeros, hands trembling. Nathan found me there an hour later. Anonymous donation, I showed him. He studied the check with that look he got sometimes, like he was solving a puzzle I couldn't see. That's specific. Big enough to matter, small enough not to trigger major reporting. You think it's Adrian? No. His answer came too quick. Your ex would want credit. This is someone else. The money transformed us. Professional equipment for the workshops, licenses for online courses, scholarship funds for women fleeing violence. We expanded faster than I'd dreamed. Phoenix Network branches in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. But Nathan was acting strange. He'd disappear during certain phone calls, tense up when anyone mentioned medical research. I'd catch him staring at the twins with that same puzzle-solving expression. You can tell me anything, I said one evening as we cleaned up after a workshop. He set down the chairs he was stacking. Not yet, but soon, I promise. Liam chose that moment to take his first steps, lurching between us with a drooly grin. Nathan scooped him up, tossing him gently in the air. Arya watched from her bouncer, already the observer to her brother's performer. Dada! Liam shrieked with delight. Nathan froze. I froze. He doesn't know, I said quickly. It's okay. Nathan's voice was rough. I know I'm not, but I'm here. That counts for something, right? I thought about Adrian, probably in bed with Sienna right now, oblivious to his children's existence. It counts for everything, I told him. The invitation to Keynote at Silicon Valley Women in Tech Summit felt like the universe's bad joke. 5 years of building Phoenix Network into a national movement, and they wanted me back where it all started. I almost declined until I saw the sponsor list. Adrian's company was the platinum donor. "You don't have to go," Miranda said during our planning meeting. "Yes, I do." I looked at Liam and Arya playing in the corner, 5 years old and fearless. "It's time." We flew first class. The network could afford it now. The twins pressed their noses to the window, marveling at clouds while I fought nausea. Nathan had wanted to come, but I'd refused. This was my battle. The Moscone Center hadn't changed. Tech bros in identical hoodies, women fighting for space in rooms designed without them in mind. But I had changed. The designer dresses were gone, replaced by a simple blazer and the confidence of someone who'd built something real. "Mommy, is this where Daddy works?" Arya asked as we walked backstage. I'd told them the truth, age appropriately. Daddy lived far away. Daddy didn't know about them. Daddy had chosen someone else. They'd accepted it with the brutal practicality of children who'd never known different. My talk was scheduled right after Adrian's. Cosmic joke confirmed. I watched from the wings as he presented quarterly projections, the same cold efficiency I'd once mistaken for strength. Sienna sat in the front row, her ring finger sporting a diamond that had once been mine. Then it was my turn. 5 years ago, I thought my world ended, I began. My husband chose another woman. I fled to Texas, pregnant and broken. Today, Phoenix Network serves 50,000 women across 7 states. We've funded 300 businesses, provided emergency housing to over 1,000 families, and proved that our greatest failures can become our greatest strengths. The audience erupted. I spotted the exact moment Adrian saw me. His face went white. But it was when Liam and Arya joined me on stage for the closing that he truly shattered. Liam had his father's eyes, that distinctive green that ran in the Westbrook family. The live stream cameras caught everything. Adrian's shock, Sienna's confusion, the audience's growing awareness that they were witnessing something extraordinary. I finished my talk, accepted the standing ovation, and walked off stage directly into Adrian's path. "Those are my children," he said, voice strangled. "No," I corrected. "They're mine. You chose Sienna, remember?" "I have rights. Do you? Because there's something interesting about their conception. Something your company might not want public." His face went from white to gray. "What are you talking about?" "DNA tests, Adrian. Are you sure you want them?" Adrian's lawyers moved fast. Within a week, I was facing a custody petition, demands for paternity tests, and a media circus that made our divorce look tame. "Tech Titan fights for secret twins," screamed the headlines. Sienna, I noticed, had disappeared from his public appearances. Nathan finally broke his silence the night before our first hearing. "I worked for Biogenesis," he said, nursing a beer on my porch while the twins slept. "Adrian's subsidiary, the one he shut down 5 years ago." My blood chilled. The fertility research company? We were developing enhanced IVF treatments, breaking-edge stuff. Then the trials went wrong. Women experiencing impossible pregnancies, genetic anomalies, superfetation. He couldn't meet my eyes. I was the one who reported it to the FDA. The pieces clicked. The company party, 2 weeks after the retreat, I blacked out. They were testing fertility boosters in the executive drinks, trying to solve Silicon Valley's birth rate problem. Adrian didn't know. It was the research director going rogue. But when I blew the whistle, Nathan's hands clenched. Adrian buried it all, paid off the victims, destroyed the research, shut down the company, except I was already pregnant. My voice sounded hollow. And the treatment caused the superfetation. The twins might actually have different... I couldn't finish. The anonymous donation, Nathan continued, came from a Biogenesis shell account. Hush money, probably automated. Adrian doesn't even know it exists. I thought about the medical mystery that had haunted me, the impossible pregnancy that had given me my miracles. You knew. This whole time, you knew. I suspected. When I delivered them, saw the development differences, but I couldn't prove anything without exposing you to that circus. He gestured toward the street where photographers camped. I'm sorry, Maddie. I should have told you sooner. You saved their lives, I said simply. Everything else is just details. The hearing arrived too quickly. Adrian strutted in with 3 lawyers and a PR team. I had one attorney and the truth. Your Honor, Adrian's lawyer began. My client simply wants the opportunity to know his children. Interesting, my attorney responded. Would your client also like to discuss Biogenesis? The fertility experiments? The women who were unknowingly drugged at corporate events? The courtroom fell silent. Adrian's face cycled through confusion, recognition, and horror. Perhaps, the judge said dryly, we should discuss this in chambers. As we filed out, Adrian grabbed my arm. I didn't know. Maddie, I swear I didn't know about the experiments. But you knew about the cover-up, I said, pulling free. You knew women were hurt and you buried it, just like you buried us. His hand dropped. For the first time in our marriage, Adrian Westbrook had no response. The courtroom buzzed as Nathan took the stand. 5 years of keeping secrets had aged him, but his voice was steady as he detailed Biogenesis's experiments, the cover-up, his attempts to protect the victims. I kept copies of everything, he testified, producing drives that made Adrian's lawyers pale. Patient records, executive emails, proof that Mr. Westbrook authorized the destruction of evidence. Adrian watched his empire crumble in real time. Stock prices plummeted. The FDA launched an investigation. But what broke him wasn't the money or reputation. It was when Liam's DNA results confirmed Adrian as his biological father, while Arya's showed genetic markers consistent with superfetation, her biological paternity unclear due to the fertility treatment's effects. I'm their father either way, Adrian said outside the courthouse, tears streaming. Biology doesn't matter. I want to know them. Now you want them? I asked. 5 years, Adrian. 5 years of first words, first steps, sleepless nights. Where were you? With the wrong person, he admitted. Sienna had left him, taking half his assets and selling their story to the highest bidder. I destroyed everything real for something fake. The judge's ruling was swift. Supervised visitation, pending Adrian's completion of therapy and parenting classes. Financial support mandated. The Biogenesis victims would receive compensation. Phoenix Network would receive a formal grant. Adrian's penance made public. But I had my own choice to make. 1 hour a week, I told Adrian privately. Supervised, Nathan stays. You earn their trust slowly, or not at all. Nathan? The man who delivered them in a hurricane, who taught Liam to ride a bike and reads Arya stories every night, who never asked for DNA tests because love isn't about biology. I paused. He's their father in every way that matters. You can be something else, if you earn it. 6 months later, I watched Adrian teach Liam to code while Arya painted his nails purple. Nathan sat beside me, no longer haunted by secrets. Phoenix Network had expanded nationwide, funded partly by the Biogenesis settlement, but mostly by women who'd found their strength. Dada Adrian, Liam called out, showing off his program. Just Adrian, he corrected gently, glancing at Nathan. Dada's over there. It wasn't the family any of us had planned. Adrian visited weekly, slowly earning trust. Nathan officially adopted the twins with Adrian's blessing. I ran an empire built on women's resilience, with Miranda as COO and a board of survivors who'd become thrivers. Some stories don't end with reconciliation. They end with redemption. Messier, harder, but ultimately more honest. We were all broken people, trying to build something better from the pieces. And that, I'd learned, was enough.
Never underestimate the strength of a woman who's been betrayed. From the wreckage, you can build a life brighter than before. Remember, your worth doesn't depend on anyone else. It lies in how you rise after being broken.